Hey guys, so welcome back to your next class of Catalyst Concepts. In the previous session, we were talking about what exactly is a battery, how does it work, and we measured what is the EMF loop inside the battery, basically the internal voltage of a battery. Right? Today, what we are going to do is we are going to look at if there is any sort of a connection between what is the current and what is the voltage, right? We spoken of these two different things. We spoke of EMF, we spoke of voltage, and we also spoken about current, right? Is there any connection? Are they dependent on each other in any way? Is something that we are going to explore today. Okay, so for this, let us try to think about two situations. Okay, all right, so let's say that there is a simple circuit like this that I'll draw. Okay, just one battery. Okay, let's talk about it as a small battery that we take, right? Okay, if the circuit is complete and everything works fine, generally this bulb is going to glow, right? But what will happen if instead of one battery, I put two batteries? What will happen? Will the bulb glow in the same way or will it glow differently? Right, that is one question that we can ask. Okay, and what if instead of two I put like three batteries? Okay. Maybe one, two, three, like that. Okay, what do you think? Do you think the bulb is going to glow in the same way or different? Okay, so it's a little thing that we know. When we add more batteries, there is more electricity that is available, right? That's the reason to add more batteries. So if you have like a big thing that works, it will need more batteries. If you have a smaller object, it just works on maybe one or two batteries. So if we talk about the bulb, we'll see that the bulb glows like the brightest, right? When there are more number of batteries that are involved in the circuit. So we can definitely say that there is some sort of a connection or something that is going on over here. Okay. Say that this battery has a voltage of V. Okay. Now we have we have two batteries with the same voltage. We have now three batteries with the same voltage, right? So I can say that since I am using different batteries in different situations, the voltage is increasing, right? The amount of voltage that is going across is increasing. So if I look in this direction, I am increasing my voltage. At the same time, if I look at the bulbs, I know that as I go from this to this, the bulb is getting more bright to see, right? Does that mean more current or less current? Right? Logically, it should mean more current because only when there is more current can the bulb glow more bright. So I can say that current is also increasing, right? Since we know that current is the actual movement of the electrons. If there are more electrons moving, more brightness you will see in the bulb, right? And if there is less current, then there will be less, right? So voltage is responsible for pushing the electrons. That's what we have seen, right? And it makes sense that if there is more voltage, it means more electrons are being pushed, or the electrons are being pushed. It's like more force, right, from the negative to the positive in that cycle. So we can say that whenever the voltage is increasing, the current is also increasing. Okay, we also say that there is a direct relation between voltage and current. Okay, we also call this as the Ohm's law. Okay, this is called as Ohm's law. Now, what is this Ohm? Ohm is the name of a scientist. Okay, so he was a German scientist who also did some similar experiment. Okay, what he did was he had a not a bulb, but he had like a different device. He just had like a some sort of a load, and he tested the voltage across the load as he kept changing the batteries. Okay, and he could see that as you're increasing the number of batteries, you're increasing the voltage, the current is also increasing. Okay, so he said that voltage across a circuit, or at the ends of a conductor, is directly proportional to the current that is flowing through the circuit. Okay, the voltage across your conductor is directly proportional to how much current is flowing through it. Okay, when there's more voltage, there's going to be more current. All right, so this Ohm's law, since it's a proportionality, we can also make an equation out of it. Okay, so I will say V is equals to I into, if you change the proportionality into an equals, you need to add a constant on one side. And that constant over here is this alphabet R. Okay, so Ohm said that R, if I calculate, it is V divided by I. Okay, this R is nothing but resistance. Okay, resistance. You heard the word resistance in general, right, in language. Now, what is the meaning of this resistance? Okay. To resist something is to try to stop something, right? It's a common word. So, resistance is nothing but it is the opposition to flow of electrons. Okay, we know one thing: when the electrons are flowing in a conductor, they are constantly crashing into the metal atoms and the lattice structure of these atoms and their ions. They hit them, they lose energy, stop. But because of the voltage, they again pick up energy and move. Okay, this obstruction is what is called as opposition or the resistance to the flow of these electrons. This is what we call as resistance. Okay, how do I measure resistances? In the unit of ohms. Okay, he named the unit after himself. Of course, he found it. He's gonna name it. Okay, so I'll say 1 ohm or 1 ohm of resistance is found when 1 volt of uh, 1 volt of, let's say, what do you call that, potential difference is allowing 1 ampere of current to flow to it. Okay, when 1 ampere of current is flowing through 1 volt of potential difference, we'll say that it has 1 ohm of resistance being provided to it, just like how we write. Okay, so I can say the symbol for ohm is like this: 1 ohm equals to 1V divided by 1 here. All right, so this is how we can define resistance, and it's a natural thing. Every substance will have resistance. Okay, because everything is made up of atoms and ions. Obviously, everything is going to have its own amount of resistance that it provides. Okay, this is one formula that we will be using going forward to find out this thing. What do you call it? The value of resistance if we are given the voltage and the current that is in the circuit. All right. Now, this Ohm's law, is it followed by every single thing in the universe, is one question that came up. Okay, so Ohm conducted with a certain metal or some material, but what about the other materials? Did you test for every single thing? Is one question that came up. Okay, so people started testing for other things also to see if it follows Ohm's law. Okay, now when something follows the Ohm's law, if we take the values of V and I, okay, voltage and current, as voltage is increasing, current is increasing, if it gives you a straight line, right, that means it is directly proportional. However, in some cases, it was not proportional. Okay. When people tried this experiment with some other substances, they didn't get a straight line, they got something like a curved sort of a line. Okay. So what they said is Ohm's law does not apply to everything. It is not universal. Okay. Ohm's law mostly applies to metal conductors. Okay. Mostly applies to metal conductors. Okay. We also call this as ohmic conductors. Okay. So ohmic conductors is nothing but any conductor that obeys Ohm's law. Meaning if I use that conductor in my circuit, definitely my voltage and current will be directly proportional. How much I increase voltage, that much current will also increase. And anything that does not follow Ohm's law is called, let's say Ohm law is called non-ohmic conductor. Okay, one very good example of non-ohmic conductor is, do you know what are LED lights? Right, these little lights are shine quite bright. So LED lights are something that do not obey Ohm's law. Okay, even though they work on electricity, they will still not obey Ohm's law. At a certain point, that law breaks for them. So there it's an example of a non-ohmic conductor. An example of ohmic conductor is most metals. Okay. Now, so this is one thing that we have learned for today. I will stop right here. We learned about a scientist named Ohm who framed something called Ohm's law. He said that in an electric circuit, the amount of voltage that is produced is directly proportional to the current that is flowing through that circuit. Okay, and from this equation, he found a value called resistance. Okay, resistance is nothing but how much opposition is there for the electrons or for the current to flow through that conductor. When there is more resistance, it means that less the flow is difficult, right? The electrons move very slowly across it. And if I have to define 1 ohm, I will define it as 1 volt divided by 1 ampere. Okay, 1 ampere of current flowing through 1 volt of potential difference. Okay, it's not like that important. Just remember what are the units, what are the formula. Okay, and we also learned about what are ohmic and non-ohmic conductors. If they follow Ohm's law, like metals, it's an ohmic conductor. If they do not follow Ohm's law, like LEDs, it's a non-ohmic conductor. Okay, so that's it for today. This is where I'm going to stop. In the next class, we'll look at a couple more things about resistance and how to go about this. All right, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment below, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.